Otherwise, you won't be around long. If you get the opportunity, you got to take advantage of it, and that's what Kurt Warner did. He got an opportunity. He was a confident guy. He was confident in himself. Once Trent went down, he had the confidence that, I'm not going to let this team miss a beat. And, I'm just, with all the weapons that he had around him, he just came in and did his job and did it well, did it at a high level.
Yeah, and that's all you can really ask for. And, I
That's
mean,
it.
with that being said, obviously, this past year, the Eagles had kind of a similar thing. Carson Wentz,
Yep.
although it was
Mm-hmm.
preseason for you guys, but
Right.
Carson Wentz kind of gets them to the finish line, and then
Right.
kind of falls flat because of the injury, and then Nick Foles comes in and kind of finishes the job.
Right.
You were on the same team as Trent Green. How does something like that affect him? Was he still fully motivated in the team, or was he kind of like just really bummed out the whole season?
Trent was there. Of course, he was disappointed because he finally got his opportunity.
Yeah.
Got his opportunity in his hometown at that to carry a team, to be the face of a franchise, and then he goes down with a knee injury. But I mean, he was a pro. He was a pro about it. I mean, he came to work every day. He helped us wherever he could. He helped Kurt as much as he could. Helped him on the sidelines, still in meetings and everything with the quarterbacks, and that's a true pro. And it gave him a year away from the game to continue to learn the game and do what he had to do to become a better football player. And it showed after he went to Kansas City, because he went to Kansas City after that and just lit it up, and he was an outstanding quarterback. But it didn't surprise me because those are the things we saw from Trent Green in preseason that year with the Rams. Like, man, this guy's he's a heck of a quarterback, and he proved it in Kansas City.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I find it really interesting. I mean, I don't see why it's a huge deal, but the same parallel, with Wentz and Foles. I've been hearing. Do you call, somebody like a Trent Green or a Carson Wentz a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Because, like, to me, you were part of the team. You helped, the preparation and everything. You were there.
Right,
Somebody
right,
like Wentz literally got them to the finish line. Somebody like
right,
Green got you guys prepared in preseason. I mean, I know Kurt Warner obviously
right.
takes over and the rest is history, but where's your stance on that? Because I know some people just feel like, if you were tallying up the rings, you wouldn't like give that like Wentz won that Super Bowl or that Green won the Super Bowl. But like, where's your
Right.
stance on that?
I mean, they're Super Bowl caliber quarterbacks. I mean, they're every bit as good, just as good as, the guys that got the teams to the Super Bowl. And I think, the teams would have still gotten to the Super Bowls with those guys. But, they're pros. And, they do their jobs to the best of their abilities. And, when given the opportunity, I think, they could carry any team to the Super Bowl. I think those type of guys, Carson Wentz and, Trent Green, because, Trent had opportunities to get his team to the Super Bowl in Kansas City, but, a couple of other things fell apart. And, Carson's a young quarterback. He's going to have multiple opportunities to get his team back to the Super Bowl. And, those are the type of guys you want to have on your roster.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that, and I think that's a really good way to put it. Um, with that being said, which former teammates do you still, speak with to this day, or like keep in touch with?
I keep in touch with majority of them. Dre Bly, I talked to him, a day ago. We were talking about football, and we were talking about some DB stuff, and talking about some high school kids. Leonard Little, Torrey Holt. I still talk to all those guys as much as I get an opportunity.
Yeah,
I would say that was a close knit bunch that we had in St. Louis. I mean, guys spent a lot of time together off the field, and we were a close knit bunch, and I think that was part of the reason we had a lot of success together. Guys enjoyed being around each other. Guys enjoyed playing with each other back in St. Louis.
yeah. No, I definitely agree with that, and it is unfortunate because you win the Super Bowl, and then obviously the Hakeem fumble against the Saints, and then
Uh huh.
then the Patriots game, which, I mean, any
Right,
Rams fan,
right.
I think that's the most.
Yeah, that was tough.
Nothing bothers Rams fans more than that, I don't think. I mean,
I know it.
I know
I know
that,
it.
the Los Angeles fans, they would rather change the outcome of the Steelers game. But when I look at,
Right.
when I look at the Super Bowl, I think of this, the Rams were by far the better team in that game against the Patriots.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
And against the Steelers, I mean, you were facing the Steelers in their prime. That was when they kind of dominated the sport, and you were 9-7.
Right.
So like,
Right.
while it was like a miracle, it was a fun season. I would just look at that as like that's a win for me. Like that you went 9-7, you went to the Super Bowl, but like 14-2, clearly the best team in the league, and
Right.
I mean, I talked to
felt like we were just dominant and
Yeah.
nobody could beat us.
exactly, and I talked to Tommy Polly about it, and he's like, yeah, he's like they definitely they did some stuff,
Right.
like I mean it's all out there,
Right.
it's unfortunate, but why do you think this team fell from grace? I know you were there until 2002, and then it seems like right after you left, it was like the wheels fell off. But was it? I mean, even if I can ask this, was it? Do you think the fact that Vermeil was gone? I mean, like, how did this team just lose their luster so quickly?
It was. I mean, it was a lot of things that factored into it. I mean, you had coaching changes. You had, a lot of guys started to have success, and therefore, a lot of guys started to get attention from other teams in free agency. So you lose players, you lose coaches, and it's almost like starting over again, pretty much. I mean, new coaching staff, and then guys started to get older, things like that, injuries. Some guys started to get injured, so there was a lot of things factoring in. There's only in a league like that with the free agency and all that. I mean, there's only so long you can make your run. I mean, the Patriots are one of the few teams that have proven that they could do it over a long period of time, but that's not common, and it's tough nowadays to sustain, success for a long time. I mean, a lot of things factor into it. Like I say, injuries happen, free agency happens, and, it's tough year to year.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And going into that, free agency season, was there ever like a chance for you to come back to the Rams? Like, how did that go?
Once I left, they offered me a chance to come back my last year, but Kansas City jumped in and, they offered me a nice contract and, a opportunity for a fresh start. And, I just took it. And, like I said, I was familiar with the coaching staff and same coaching staff I had in St. Louis. So that made it a easy transition for me.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, I ask you that because, I asked like Tommy Polly, and they said that, they didn't really offer him another chance to come back.
Right.
And,
right.
Even, your teammate London Fletcher, apparently they didn't want him back.
Right.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, I know obviously it's the nature of the business, and any, situation, any office you're working in, or any, team that you're working on, there's going to be politics and whatnot. But,
right.
Doesn't it seem strange that they just moved on from, somebody like London Fletcher so quickly? Like, I just still
that's
mind blown.
That surprised me because Fletch was the face of St. Louis Rams defense, and he was in the middle of his prime, and that kind of surprised me that they would let a player of that that nature walk. But it's the nature of the business, and we all understood that, and nobody had any hard feelings. We enjoyed our times all in St. Louis, and that's the nature of the business. That's how it is. I mean, you see it nowadays. You see a lot of great players get moved around, and it's just common nowadays.
It definitely is, and it's just crazy how they found London Fletcher, undrafted at a, it's now I forget the name of the school, but it was John Carroll. Yeah.
Yep.
And it was right after they had somebody in Roman Pfeiffer who he left, and I think he was on the Patriots team in that Super Bowl. So he was. It's it's pretty crazy and everything. But what was your favorite overall thing about playing in the NFL?
Just putting a uniform on Sundays. I mean, it was nothing like it. The whole world's watching, and I get to go out and play against, the best guys in the world in this profession and, entertain people is something that you watch growing up as a little kid. And just to be on that field, playing against teams with that logo on their helmet was just, it's unreal. It's unreal.
Best helmet logo in sports?
Man, it's got to be the Rams. Got to be the Rams. I mean, that thing, man, nowadays, it still gets me. I love to see that Rams logo on TV on that helmet. There's nothing like it.
I totally agree. I think it's funny when people try to make the argument like the Patriots or something. It's like, no, they
right.
Like,
no.
You have a horn on the helmet.
Yes.
Like, they were the first
original.
to do that. Like, it's
original,
just,
yep.
It's crazy, and what's even more crazy is how, the fact that even something so iconic, you can change the color of it and it still looks amazing.
Right.
Like, they've changed it to white. It's been, obviously it was gold and it was yellow with you. It's just
yep.
Nothing beats that. I mean, if you changed like
You're
the
right
Patriots
about that.
colors, that would look completely different. But for the Rams,
yep.
It looks fine.
I mean, everybody knows that logo. You see it. I mean, you see it around the world. You see it, on Sundays. Everybody knows that Rams logo, and it's been around for a long time, going back to Los Angeles and everything.
Yeah, and speaking of that, obviously the Rams are in LA now, and when you played, you were with the St. Louis Rams. You did just miss that LA, cut, like I think by like 2 years.
Couple of years.
But how do you do you stay in tune with the new the LA Rams? Do you
I do.
Do you interact with like the fan base at all or anything like that?
I do on Twitter some. The organization does a good job of keeping the former players involved. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities that they try to get former players out to LA to get involved in the community and, get invited to games and different events that the organization is putting on. So we appreciate them much for that, just keeping, the Rams alumni involved in everything.
I definitely hear you there. Have you been to a game at the Coliseum yet?
I haven't. I was supposed to come last year when they played the Eagles, but I couldn't make it out. Going to try to get out this year in December, hopefully, to catch the game at the Coliseum. Never been to the Coliseum. I want to catch a game there before they move to the new stadium. So hopefully I can get that done this year.
Yeah, that was my thought exactly. I actually I reside in upstate New York, so like my father and I went out for the Rams Redskins game, and it was honestly a phenomenal experience. I've never been in anything like that as far as a stadium, so it was yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, hopefully, I live in New York, and I think, you live in Alabama now?
Yes, I'm in Alabama.
Yeah, so hopefully at some point, I'll get to meet you, and maybe we could catch a game together or something.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'd love to go to the Rams and Packers game because I think it'd be crazy to see Aaron Rodgers in person.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Dexter, what are you up to now? Now that post NFL.
I coach Division II college football down here in Alabama. I've been coaching ever since I left the NFL. I coached as soon as I retired. I coached high school ball for 5 years, and then I moved on to college football, coaching at the Division II level. So that's what I've been doing ever since I retired. Still around the game, still teaching the game. Love teaching the game to the youngsters, and still being involved in the game.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'd love to hear that. And I was actually just in Alabama in January for the Senior Bowl. Do you ever go to the Senior Bowl?
I do. This past year was the first time I didn't make it down, but normally myself and my staff, we always go down every year to the Senior Bowl, watch practices, which is a good opportunity for me to hang out with some of the old NFL guys, NFL coaches, that coach me, and be around them and everything. So I'll be back down next year.
All right. Well, I'll be looking for you because I plan on going every year I can. I mean, it was a pretty crazy experience. I had never done anything like that. It just,
right.
I was just like, yeah, I'll just go down for a week, and I mean, it was pretty awesome to just
You're
get
right.
to interview all those guys, and that's
Uh-huh.
actually